Welcome back to Beyond the Box Score. Hey, Cole. It's time for the second installment of our Major League Baseball preview. We're tackling the AL West today.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
AL West is a very intriguing division in my eyes.
They are.
I think we got three horses to go into 2017 with, along with a couple teams looking towards the future. So let's go back. Let's go right into the final standings. Let's hit up 2016. Why don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So Texas was the class of the West last year with 95 wins to 67 losses. The Mariners, 86 and 76. Disappointing Houston squad last year. Finished 84 and 78. 84 and 78. Excuse me, I got my Angels records mixed up. Houston went 84 and 78, and the Angels of Los Angeles went 74 and 88, as they and Pujols and Trout out there trying to do their best to keep them afloat. They tried to restack in a different way this year. And the Oakland Athletics, after three consecutive playoff berths from 2012 to 2014, have fallen flat on their faces, unfortunately, to the tune of a record of 69 and 93 in 2016.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely a turnaround there from last year. But we talk about Seattle. We talk about how we kind of like them going into this year. I was saying, give Seattle playoff berth.
Yeah, they got some intrigue for sure.
They were right on the brink of getting into that wild card spot there last year. I mean, and you said Houston, a little bit of disappointment. I was definitely looking for them to get back to the postseason again. Had it just fell apart a little bit. I don't know.
They've got an exciting young squad.
They do.
2015 is not that far away, and I really see them as making great strides this year, simply because they have a lot of financial flexibility that they were able to exercise in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in Beltran, and even though it was $16 million for 1 year, his presence, he's been there before. He's been there with multiple teams. If they're going to make a run, come July, and they feel like they're in it, and then even come September, he's going to be there for the young guys. He's been there with Houston back in 2004 when he was just a force. He had 8 home runs in those playoffs with the Astros. He was there, oh my gosh, the Mets a couple times. He's been all over the map. He was there with the Giants in 2011 getting traded for Zach Wheeler for their playoff run. 2012, 2013 is with the Cardinals. I mean, the man lives for the playoffs. And the fact that Houston was able to bring him back for his second stint not only says he likes playing there, but the experience he's going to bring to that young core of position players is going to be huge, as well as the Brian McCann trade with the Yankees. What are your thoughts on that? You get a couple arms back for a guy who's aging. He's really not – I don't think he's going to be able to catch much this year. It's going to be a mix of him and probably Gaddis. They're going to have a lot of different lineups with Beltran, Gaddis, McCann, among others, really sharing the load of maybe some first base, some catching, some DH. Beltran not so much catching, but Gaddis and Beltran can also mix in and corner outfield spots. They may not go consecutive days all season with the same lineup.
Yeah, probably not. I don't see McCann going consecutive days for a lot of the season. He, like you said, he's getting up there. I think it was definitely that deal, something that Houston's just looking for a guy to get back there for a few days at a time. Probably not going to be there too long. I mean, I feel like it was a good deal for both sides. I mean, the Yankees don't really need him anymore with the emergence of Gary Sanchez coming up. But, yeah, so I think they could do well with that.
I think so as well.
Working with McCann and Gaddis between those two.
And the addition of Josh Reddick in free agency,
that was huge.
4 years, $50 million, he will take over right field for sure, which gives Springer the freedom to play center field every day and really showcase his talents and athletic ability out there. It's pretty spacious out there. Even though they've gotten rid of Tal's Hill this season, Houston's no joke. You got to cover a lot of space in that outfield. It's pretty deep gaps. So to have a guy out there in Springer for the entire year, you have a lot of confidence that not many balls are going to fall.
Yeah, that is a pretty deep.
That place gets really wide too because they have the Crawford boxes and then the huge right field. It's an interesting stadium, and you really need to have a very, very good defensive center fielder to knock down a lot of the gaps because the other guys have to play so shallow the way the ballpark is constructed. that's why they were able to flourish when they had Beltran there for a year. They've had pretty good center fielders in their past, and Springer's going to be another one on the list as he looks to take over that position full term in 2017.
A lot of running around.
Yeah. So some under the radar moves for the Astros as we continue going through their addition, subtraction, signings, everything in between. They also brought in Nori Aoki off waivers from Seattle back in November, which I think is nice. He's going to be a nice bench bat. He could play some pretty good defense. He's a very good runner, so he could be used as a pinch runner. He could be used as a left-handed bat off the bench. He's a very good bunter as well. Good fundamental guy to have off the bench, and he could even spell some of the guys that may need a day off because he's a formidable bat when he is in the lineup. He's got a respectable offensive track record, not flashy.
Yeah.
It's more in the, he amasses a lot of hits. He had some good seasons there for the Brewers when he broke in. He was with the Giants, I believe, last year, mixed in with Seattle. He just puts bat on the ball. It's nice to have that guy, that bullet in the chamber.
Yeah.
If you need a clutch hit off the bench late. And then Charlie Morton is going to be fighting for maybe a fourth or fifth rotation spot. He was brought in as a free agent from Philadelphia. He was hurt a little bit last year, but he's a good sinker baller to have deep in the rotation. He kind of rounds it out. He's an innings eater, and back in his days in Pittsburgh, he really was able to sort of salvage his career because he recrafted his pitching style to almost emulate Roy Halladay. I remember watching that, I believe, around 2011, 2012, 2013, that sort of era, where he was kind of on the brink. Pittsburgh didn't know what they wanted to do with him, and he went out in the offseason. And who else better to emulate in that time frame than one of the best pitchers that we saw in the beginning of the 2000s into 2010 was Roy Halladay. And he really, studied Halladay's tendencies and stuff like that, and he really was able to lengthen his career all to the point where he's still pitching here in 2017 for a potential contender.
Yeah.
Which is really nice to see for him.
Hopefully he can get back on it. I mean, I was just seeing that he only got 4 starts last year after dealing with hamstring, so...
Yeah, that's another thing that he's going to have to overcome. He's always been bitten by the injury bug.
Yeah.
But if he's able to stay healthy, he's going to be a nice back end of the rotation guy that can get them through those dog days of summer, giving you 6-7 innings at a time. Able to he's a good like I mentioned, he's a good innings eater. He's not going to be flashy. He's not going to go out and strike out 10 batters, but he'll give you the 6 1/3, 7 innings, and limit the offense for the opposing team, and really give you a chance when he's on. So in terms of subtractions from the Astros, they didn't lose much offensively. Jason Castro had a down year. He's now in Minnesota. Luis Valbuena had a very nice 2015, where I believe he amassed just about or over 20 home runs playing third base. He's never going to hit you for a high average, but he'll give you the pop when you need it. He's now in Anaheim, Los Angeles, the Angels. Colby Rasmus signed with the Rays. Did not see that coming. That one kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
He was another guy. I keep looking at this list, and the guys that the Astros have subtracted, those 3 hitters were all on the 2015 squad that went to the playoffs, and they had very nice seasons 2 years ago. But the key component in all of their 2016 seasons was it was just off their career mark, and Rasmus struggled through 2016. I don't think he was ever hurt. If he was hurt, it wasn't made public, but he was not the same Rasmus as he was in 2015. He hit, I think, 4 home runs between the wild card game against the Yankees and the ALDS against the Royals. He was the key cog as far as they got into the playoffs. It was cut short, but he was a huge force. And then Pat Neshek out of the bullpen was traded to Philadelphia in November. And Doug Fister still has been unsigned as of today.
I saw that.
Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Used to be
Because he hasn't ended up somewhere yet.
He's had a pretty interesting career.
Yeah.
He struggled in
Very
Seattle.
up and down.
Probably a testament to the offense, and he was still learning. He's a tall guy. I believe he's around 6'7", 6'8", and he's a softer thrower for his height, so it was kind of weird for him to adjust at the major league level to how he should actually pitch. But he found his arm slot just in time to get traded to Detroit. Detroit had him for a couple of years. He went to Washington. He helped pitch Washington to the playoffs in 2014, and then he was off in 2015, injured a lot. Found a contract with Houston in 2016 and was still on the shelf. So we'll see what comes for him. Maybe a team will take a flyer on him in the next few weeks as spring training rolls around. But he's an interesting interesting conundrum of a free agent as he has a track record that may bode well to some teams, but his injury history recently is probably the reason why he's still looking for an employer.
Yeah, I'd say that, but I would be a little surprised if he wasn't picked up by someone,
right,
and used as even
like
just
a long man, or something like that.
A bullpen job, maybe a back of the end starting rotation if someone has an injury here or there. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be a little surprised if he didn't find a home for this 2017 season.
What do you want to touch on next? I'll leave it up to you. The Rangers had a pretty quiet offseason, or we can go right into the Mariners, who made like 95 trades.
Yeah. We'll start with the Rangers and then
we go to the Rangers?
Mariners.
All right. So the Rangers brought back their headliner was Mike Napoli. In stint number 2.
Yeah.
In the Lone Star State. He was brought in as a free agent from Cleveland. Probably no more than a week ago.
Yeah.
He was still looking for a team come February. I actually did not know this until looking up some rosters. James Loney is going to fight to be the first baseman in Texas.
Really?
Now that Mitch Moreland signed with Boston.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, I didn't notice this, but they re-signed Josh Hamilton to a minor league contract.
I did see that.
I was like,
I did see that.
Josh Hamilton.
No, James Loney is far removed from his days as a he was never a powerful first baseman, but he brought a great glove, especially in his days almost a decade ago. Holy cow, he broke in with the Dodgers. He always had a great glove, and he would hit you for a lot of average, but between maybe 10 to 15 home runs. He's not the prototypical first baseman, but maybe some power will come just hitting in Texas and hitting in Houston. You know, those ballparks in his own division may bring some pop to his bat. We'll see. We'll see if he even comes away with the job. It's not a guarantee. I don't think they outright gave him the first base job. We'll see what comes in spring training. And then they shored up the back end of their rotation because they lost Derek Holland to the White Sox in the offseason. The Rangers brought in Andrew Kashner from Miami and Tyson Ross, who spent all but one start injured last year for the Padres. I believe he had thoracic outlet, sort of the same thing that Matt Harvey was struggling with, and he missed just about 6 months after his first start, which was tough to watch because he had already suffered the injury but tried to pitch through it, and then next thing you know, his season was completely gone.
Yeah.
So it's yet to be seen how quickly his timetable will be to pitching again. I don't think it's going to be opening day, but as we can see at the depth chart here, they still have the likes of Cole Hamels, Yu Darvish, Martin Perez, who's not even 26 yet, Kashner, and A.J. Griffin, who's had some pretty solid years in the past in Oakland.
Yeah.
Looking to find his stride in Texas in, I believe, year 2. He pitched a little bit there last year through some injuries. But the big subtraction, the big loss for the Rangers was Ian Desmond.
Yep.
And what he did on a one-year contract when they took a flyer on him last offseason after he struggled through 2015 with the Nationals in a contract year. I think the pressure got to him, but he was able to reinvent himself as a center fielder in Texas just in time to jump ship and head to Colorado. Head to greener pastures to play first base. That's right. What a wacky time in Ian Desmond's career. Who would have predicted that he at 31, 32 years old would be heading from Washington to Texas to Colorado, and in 3 years he'd be playing 3 different positions?
That's quite a ride.
I would say so. Gosh.
Quite a few different positions.
Yeah, and it's not prototypical. You don't see many guys who can bring a middle infielder's glove, an outfielder's mitt, and a first baseman's glove to the same game because, hey, he could be used anywhere. For all we know, he may be able to be formidable at second base, too. Jack of all trades right now for Colorado. Yeah, maybe he can pitch. He's got that shortstop arm. We mentioned, too, as well, the Rangers lost Beltran to divisional foe Houston on a 1-year, $16 million contract. Moreland to Boston. And that more or less rounded out their offseason, so they've kept the majority of their team intact. Shin-Soo Choo should be healthy this year. Elvis Andrus has been a stalwart at shortstop there forever. Adrian Beltre is going to go into this season chasing 3,000 hits. I believe he's, correct me if I'm wrong, he's either 44 hits or 56 hits away. Either is 29.56 or 29.44. Either way, maybe a month,
Adrian.
maybe 2 months. We're looking maybe
Yeah.
early June. He'll hit the 3,000 hit plateau and really solidify himself as maybe a first ballot Hall of
Hall
Famer.
of Famer.
Jurickson Profar, look at him. He's all over that.
He's
He could be
all
in
over.
right field, second base, shortstop, left field.
In every position in the infield.
Oh, first base too. He could be the new Desmond,
Yeah.
and he switch hits too. He's been a top prospect, I feel, for 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
And it's not that he never panned out for the Rangers. They just never had a spot for him.
Yeah.
Between signing Andrews long term, you can't take him out of shortstop, and until 2014, they had Ian Kinsler, and then on came the upstart Rougned Odor. Profar has just been snake bit.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. It's not mismanagement. Texas has just been
Yeah.
blessed with some really good middle infielders, and Profar's put on the back burner just because of talent. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. If he was anywhere else, he might be easy start.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, he's a backup or third string in 7 of the 9 positions in the field right now.
That
As
is
you look
crazy.
at their depth chart. Wow.
So they retained Lucroy after the trade from Milwaukee as well, which is going to be great, having a full year of Lucroy, both offensively and defensively. He's one of the top framing catchers in the league. He's going to really help that rotation over 6 months. Napoli's going to play first, DH a little bit. And Nomar Mazara, year 2. What do you think out of him?
Well,
Did you see much of him play last year?
I did not, but I've heard something about it. I heard you talk about him before. But I don't know.
He's got a big bat. Big bat. He's left-handed glove. Pretty good defensively. He's got an okay arm, pretty solid arm, but he brought 20 homers to the Rangers in his rookie season. And up until maybe the last month and a half, he was flirting around 280, 300 in the batting average department. He kind of fell off, maybe a little gassed with the length of the season, but he's a great talent for them to have moving forward. My gosh, is it time to tackle Seattle?
I think so.
And would you believe me if I told you back in October, November, around that time, Jerry DiPoto said this is going to be a quiet offseason?
Well,
Would you like me to just fire off what
Yeah.
the Mariners have added in the Major League Department?
fire it off.
All right.
I'll put down.
I'm going to try. This is kind of out of whack, but I'm going to try and do it roughly by month. All right. November 2016, they're bringing Carlos Ruiz from the Dodgers. November 2016, they bring in shortstop, second baseman Gene Segura from the Diamondbacks in that Taijuan Walker trade we tackled in the NL West preview last week. November 2016, they bring in third base / outfielder Danny Valencia from divisional foe, the Oakland Athletics. That did it for November. Oh, but December was nothing different. Long reliever / starting pitcher Chris Heston, brought in from San Francisco in December 16. May of 2015, he threw a no-hitter against the Mets. Remember that?
I do. Yeah.
He's now a Mariner, looking to solidify the back end of that rotation as well. He's probably going to fit in the 5 spot. They call this guy Scrabble. Do you want to say his name? Mark Jepchinski?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shinsky.
Nickname is Scrabble. He was brought in as a free agent from Washington, December of 2016. Gerard Dyson,
Yep. Coming over.
Yvonne Gallardo, Drew Smiley, Dyson from the Royals, Gallardo from the Orioles, and Smiley from the Rays, all brought in. Gallardo's going to fight. Gallardo, Smiley, Heston are all going to probably through spring training sure up the back end of the rotation between Felix Hernandez, James Paxton, and Hisashi Iwakuma.
Seattle's just
Talk
stealing
about depth.
the AL East too.
Yeah, holy cow.
Mm.
And they really didn't lose much either. Chris Iannetta went to Arizona, but he's on the other side of 30, and he's not very good offensively anymore.
No.
Adam Lynn just signed with Washington, I believe, 2 days ago
Yeah.
for jump change, but he's going to help as a left-handed bat in that lineup and probably spell Ryan Zimmerman on days at first base. Franklin Gutierrez went to the Dodgers. And Drew Storen, who was a nightmare in he was a nightmare in Seattle. He's in Cincinnati, just pitching for probably a trade to a contender come 2017 because Cincinnati's going nowhere. So he's just going to be a back end. he's going to be back end help for them as they try and find their way, because that team's a mess now that Brandon Phillips isn't even there. Last 2 seasons they've traded Frazier, Bruce, Phillips, Chapman.
See ya.
What's left of Cincinnati is the big old contract of Joey Votto. They have nothing to they're not going anywhere fast this year. They have pieces to build around. I don't want to sell them short, but it's not going to be in 2017.
Yeah, what is Joey Votto doing? Does he want to go somewhere?
I don't think he does. Because if he did, they would have granted it to him. He just has one of those contracts with tons of no trade clauses.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly though, if they traded Joey Votto, they'd probably be relocated out of Cincinnati.
Probably, but I mean, he's got no one.
I know.
He's got no one with him.
You got Billy
like
Hamilton.
Want to leave.
That's about it. Yeah, I know. Oy vey. And then we can quick fire through the Angels and A's real quick. They were my 2 sort of rebuilding teams. The Angels are sort of interesting though, because they're going with a more of a defensive approach, because they don't have the greatest starting pitching. So they went out and figured that if we get the best possible defense, maybe that will help our struggling offense, because maybe if our pitchers put a lot of balls in play and we just field them, we won't give up as many runs. It's a crazy strategy. But no, it's not crazy. It's actually kind of smart. They shored up the middle of their defense handedly. Yes. That's a funny story, too. So we mentioned Valbuena, came over from Houston in January of 2017. Cameron Maybin, brought over in a trade with Detroit. He's going to play center field. Actually, maybe left field. Probably left field.
We still got Mike out there.
You still got Mike Trout, yeah. Danny Espinosa was traded quickly after Nationals Fan Fest in December 2016. After the trade, they brought in Adam Eaton. Espinosa was not happy with something in the front office. I remember getting this update because it caught me really funny. I got an update around 5 o'clock about the Espinosa being unhappy at the Nationals Winter Fan Fest. And then I think by 7 or 8 o'clock he was traded to the Angels. It was very quick.
See ya.
Martin Maldonado was brought over in a trade with Milwaukee. Ben Revere, a free agent from Washington as well. Jesse Chavez looking to shore up the back of the rotation, as well as utility pitching man, renaissance man, starting pitcher, relief pitcher, long relief, you name it, Yusmeiro Petit. The Angels got 3 guys from the Nationals, either from a straight-up trade or free agency. Espinosa, Revere, and Yusmeiro Petit. Yeah, so when I alluded to the really strong defense, I think that's the one reason that LA is kind of a confusing, not confusing, but interesting team going into 2017, because the rotation is definitely lesser. I mean, one of their most reliable pitchers over the last decade was Jared Weaver, and he just signed with the Padres, and he was throwing no more than 82 miles an hour last year. His fastball is completely gone. He's looking to rebuild himself, in another place in San Diego. So they're relying a lot on Matt Shoemaker, Tyler Skaggs, Ricky Nolasco. They all have injury history, and Garrett Richards missed nearly all of last season.
They need him to come back.
He was messing with like stem cell. Did you know that?
No.
Because he had an arm injury. I believe it was UCL, something there in his elbow, and he didn't want to get surgery, so he actually just was messing with stem cell research to try and effectively rebuild his elbow. So he's sort of a 50-50 toss-up for 2017. So what they're doing now is Maybin has a Gold Glove talent in left field. We know what Trout can do in center. Calhoun's been fighting for Gold Gloves his entire career. Very good defensive outfield, mixed in with Escobar at third, Escobar, Andrelton Simmons, who's the class of shortstop, Danny Espinosa, who could be a shortstop. He's a shortstop playing second base. And then C.J. Cron, who has a pretty formidable glove at first base. Martin Maldonado is sneaky, too. Milwaukee was blessed up until last year with some really good defensive catchers. And the way that Miller Park plays, some of the offense kind of takes care of itself. The way that place kind of acts like a bandbox. So the offense, they were given a little bit by the ballpark and just their overall bats. Maldonado and Lucroy they gave Milwaukee a chance every time they were behind the plate, because they were great defensive catchers, and now they're going to find homes in Texas and L.A. Maldonado is going to be sneaky. That middle of the field between Maldonado, Espinosa, Trout, and Simmons, good luck getting a ball through there. Good luck getting something to fall.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
credit LA for at least trying to give themselves a product on the field. Exactly. Because we know that, as we mentioned, the rotation's not going to be strong, but it's as simple as this. They figure, hey, the less balls that drop, maybe we'll have a chance for the offense to squeak out 4 or 5 runs and we get more wins than we might have in years past.
I mean, if you look at the lineup, it's not that bad. So,
Right.
they can score runs. Especially when you have Mike Trout in your lineup. You're going to be able to score runs. I think it does just come down to pitching. I mean, they have to bring something. They need Garrett Richards if he can come back and be strong.
Yeah,
because,
he's the key.
I mean, their leading pitcher last year, if you look at it, was Nolasco. I mean, he led the team in ERA and WHIP, but he was at like a 4.42 ERA. And he led the team. That's you're not going to go anywhere with that, Kyle.
No, you're right.
It's going to be rough to win when your best pitcher ERA is that high.
No, absolutely. So they're trying to rebuild the rotation with the additions of Petit, the likes of Jesse Chavez, who's had a journeyman kind of career, because the only real subtractions they had was Julius Chacin, Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson, and Tim Lincecum, who were all on the wrong side of 30. They were renaissances in their own at that point. Any production you'd get out of those guys last year was a blessing. I remember writing a story for Odyssey. I was on Tim Lincecum's side. I was in his corner because I really wanted to see him come back with a resurgence with the Angels because I loved him so much. Pitching for the Giants, watching him the freak. He was my guy. Backyard football, trying to emulate him. That didn't come to fruition. His ERA was flirting with 9. And he's still unsigned, as is C.J. Wilson. It's just they lost depth, but in a way I feel like it might have been better that those guys are not coming back to the Angels, at least as of now, because they would have been liabilities at this point.
Yeah.
So and we'll wrap up with the A's.
Oakland.
They brought back Rajai Davis for round 2 by the Bay.
Davis too.
The home run hero. Remember him off Chapman?
Heard around the world.
Yeah. Matt Joyce is brought in from a free agent from Pittsburgh. Trevor Plouffe going to play a little third base there, and Santiago Casilla goes from San Fran to Oakland on a 1-year deal as he looks to pitch for a contender as well. Oakland's going to be that place. They're one of two. They're going to be that team that shocks you with the $30 million payroll, or they're going to be the team that builds sort of like this, a bunch of guys on 1-year contracts, sort of like what the Phillies are doing. The Phillies have more of a future in the farm system than what Oakland has right now, but they're hoping that enough guys have career years or close to career years to where they can ship them off to other contenders come July. And I think that's what Oakland's going for this year. Rajai Davis can be used as a 4th outfielder, some speed off the bench for a team that's looking for a little bit of depth come July. Matt Joyce could be a sneaky bat. Trevor Plouffe can play both corner and infield positions, and he's hit 20 homers before in Minnesota. And Santiago Casilla just had an off year in San Fran last year. Everybody in the San Fran bullpen had an off year last year. But other than 2016, he has a very formidable track record, and he's been there I'm confident, for at least 2 of the 3 World Series. I don't believe he was there in 2010, or at least he didn't have a big role. But I know in the last 2 World Series victories for the Giants, he was a key cog in the bullpen. So a team can buy into that if he showcases that he's put 2016 behind him, and he can find himself pitching for a contender come, the dog days of summer as well. So that's what I see Oakland as. They can always shock us because I didn't see them as contenders in 2012 either.
They just need to build their farm system.
Yeah,
it's just really weak right now.
There's no better way to do it than now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And they just have to, or else they're going to be doing the same thing year in and year out, and just getting 1-year deals with guys and then trading them away and getting guys back who may or may not produce for them. They just need to start building, or we're going to keep seeing this from Oakland.
Yeah,
the bottom of the AL West.
So let's play the projection game a little bit as we wrap up here.
Don't forget, we got to speak for Connor here. He couldn't come, but he wanted me to tell you guys that Houston is his team now.
What is your
really like Houston?
What are your thoughts? What are your favorites? What are your flops? Do you have a projected final standings you'd like to stand by here on February 21st? What do you think that September is going to bring us?
Well, Kyle, I mean, I do. I do like Houston. I think it's going to be another dogfight. I think it's going to be closer this year. I mean, Texas won the division last year by 9 games. I feel like this year it's going to come down to the last week, probably between them, Houston and Seattle. To win this division this year, I feel like, oh boy, I don't know, Kyle. I think Texas is going to take it again.
You think Texas?
I think Texas will take it again, but Houston and Seattle they're going to get both wild card spots face off in the wild card game.
All right. Wow.
Bold prediction.
That is bold. I like it. You know what? And that can actually happen.
It can.
You know, you look to the rest of the American League, Cleveland's going to outright destroy the AL Central, the way the rest of it's shaping up. And with the Yankees still maybe a year away from those young guys really coming into their own. And Baltimore has a lot of contracts to worry about soon. You know, it's going to be hard to expect the same 2017 as Britain had 2016 in the closing department. They still have weapons. They still do in Baltimore, but Chris Tillman was shaky last year. Starting pitching has always been a question mark of theirs. Chris Davis is getting older. Machado's going to do what he does. Jones is aging. They lost Wieters, who just signed with the Nationals today, which I'm pretty happy about. Nice defensive catcher. But, yeah, honestly, that's not the craziest prediction to say that Houston and Seattle could fight for the wild card because, you know, Cleveland's the favorite, and Boston. Cleveland and Boston could just win the divisions. There could be nobody else close in the Central and East to really fight with Houston and Seattle.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
The East. But, yeah, like you said, I feel like the Yankees are still like a year away from something, and Orioles, they're gonna have a lot of mess after this year, especially. A lot of contracts to deal with. The Blue Jays,
they're gonna miss Double E.
They are. They really are gonna miss him. I feel like without him, that lineup with him, Bautista, and Donaldson was a major force, but with losing one of them.
And it was the younger one of the two.
It was.
Bautista's he's going to be 37 at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to produce as much as he has the last couple of years. And I mean, the Rays are just the Rays.
The Rays are
right
just
now.
the Rays, yeah.
The Rays are the Rays. Right
Absolutely. Now. So when you actually delve in and look into it, I firmly believe, too, that you could see Houston and Seattle fighting for the wild card. But in my projected final standings, I would have Seattle and Texas fighting for the wild card. I think Houston's going to take the division.
You think so?
Yeah, I have a little write-up here on why. They caught my attention for the upcoming season. You know, it's very common. After a postseason berth in 2015 for a team that's been fighting so hard for a decade to get back there, they kind of just fell flat on their face when they had a chance to really close it out. I remember watching in the Sullivan Center in Game 4 when they had Kansas City by 5 runs going into maybe the 6th or 7th. Then came the 8th where Kansas City scored 6 runs. And it was fueled by a double play ball that Kendrys Morales hit into, but went over the glove of Carlos Correa up the middle because he took his eyes off it and was looking for the base before he had the ball. And that fueled the rest of the inning. That could have ended the inning. And then came up Alex Gordon a couple batters later when it was 6-6 with 1 out. He grounds out to second with, I believe, bases loaded still. Altuve dives, has no other play but to throw out Gordon at first, and all of a sudden the eventual World Series champion Royals have the Astros on the ropes with a 7-6 lead. They take Game 4, and Game 5 is just a wash. Keuchel comes out of the bullpen. He's probably going on inning like 240 of the year. And Morales hits him with a home run from the right side, and it was just lights out for the Astros. But I think the after effect of the longer season that Houston toiled with in 2015 and that burden on their bodies definitely rolled into 2016 because Keuchel was not nearly as effective after his 2015 Cy Young. His ERA ballooned by 2 runs.
Yeah.
He was hurt. You know, his arm had never withstood those amount of innings. You know, he was an upstart pitcher. He took the league by storm. He amassed 200-plus innings in the regular season. You factor in, the wild card game, plus a start in the ALDS and a bullpen appearance. His arm had never seen that before, and he ran out of gas in 2016, and they were really relying on him a lot. Lance McCullers, and another young talent who relies a lot on a curveball, suffered through a lot of arm injuries last year. They were just snake bitten by a lot of injury bugs that probably were a testament to the lengthier season they faced in 2015. I mean, Carlos Correa was certainly very productive in 2016, but based off the projected career path he set for himself in 2015, he actually underperformed. Because he played more games and actually hit, less home runs. The RBI total was higher, but his slugging was down, his on-base percentage was down, his defensive metrics were a little lower. And it's just a sluggish feeling for those 6 months after you have a postseason berth for a team that, you're not the Braves winning the division 14 years in a row. You're a team that's getting there for the first time. You're all young, you're wide-eyed, and you probably take all the energy out of yourself before you know how to really balance it a little bit more. It's a give and go, the postseason, because you don't want to gas yourself in one series, because then you might have two more after that and all stuff like that. But Altuve is going to be the rock this year. You can expect the usual 300-plus batting average clip, 200-plus hits, and the crazy spike in his power production the last 2 years makes him full-blown elite in my eyes. The fact that a guy who is 5'7", maybe, 200-plus hits, 300-plus batting average, year after year after year. Now he's adding in 20-plus homers and 80-plus RBI, mixed in with the 30, 40 steals. The man is just a freak of nature. At his stature, you don't see those numbers, that rounded game anymore. You expect it from Trout, but Trout's got like 8 inches and like 50 pounds on Altuve. Altuve is just a little lightning bug, a little spark plug for the Astros, and they're gonna live and die by his performance this year, mixed in with the veterans, which I'm going to touch on really quick on why I think Houston's really, really, really a favorite this year in my eyes. So I think Beltran, McCann, and Reddick are perfect fits to complement the rest of the young offense, because that blend of the veteran leadership, who, by the way, have been to numerous postseasons, mixed in with the young, hungry talent of Houston, who's still has 2015 fresh in their minds, I think it makes Houston completely dangerous both on the field and off the field, because they have tons and tons and tons of financial flexibility. Because before they signed Josh Reddick in the offseason, they actually had 0 contractual obligations past this season because they're so young and they have nobody locked up long term. Now they have Reddick, and they have the rest of McCann's contract that they can willingly eat, and they have Beltran for a year. They had all the freedom in the world to do what they wanted to set themselves up for a title run this year. And then they can go from there. But the flexibility mixed in with the deep farm system they still have after all the trades they've made and pieces they've shipped off, they've accumulated a lot of young talent, even more than what we've seen on the field in the past 2, 3, 4 years. Makes them complete threats to become even better if they're in the hunt and or looking to break away from the AL pack come July, in my eyes. So that's my piece on Houston. I think they're very, very dangerous come 2017. If they're able to put it all together and they think more of 2015 than 2016, then this team can do crazy, crazy things on the field with the amount of talent and veteran leadership they have mixed in on the same lineup sheet every night.
I'm with you. I feel you. I think they do have a shot. I think it's going to be a toss-up in that division. I mean, you think they're going to run away with it there, but
I wouldn't say run away with it, but if they have the intentions of breaking away from a pack that's really close, then I think of Seattle, of Texas, they have the best financial freedom, the most financial freedom, and the most amount of prospects still in-house to really go and get that final piece they need, whether it be a bat, whether it be a rotation arm, whether it be an elite closer. If there was one team that I would bet would pull the trigger come late July, I think it could be Houston.
Right.
There's a lot of words. All right.
A lot on Houston.
Yeah, I'm high on them this year. I think.
So is Connor.
Yeah.
Connor.
Oh man, it's almost 4:00.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how's that feel for a show? Good.
Good.
All right. So we'll be back here, Connor, myself, and potentially Cole later in the week. We'll toss it up Thursday or Friday. whichever we feel for puck chat, which works best with practice. Maybe Thursday again, depending on the scheduling. But no matter what, we will have a later in the week segment of puck chat with Connor, myself, and potentially a third party. Could be Paul Barker again. Could be Cole Johnson.
Ooh.
Either way, we're going to have a full house. We'll get all the latest NHL news and notes out to you. Thanks for listening today. We'll be back Thursday. We'll be back Saturday, Sunday for the men's basketball home tournament that they'll be hosting. And we'll be back on Puck Chat next week to discuss the NL Central. Yes.
Yep. NL
Back to the NL.
Whew. All right. Have a good one.